Welcome to my film review of The
Informer.
Now, this was one of those movies where I didn't know anything about it. I was going to the cinema anyway, so catch a couple while I'm there. Looked at this one. It was not many movies out at the moment that I haven't seen. This was one of them. I didn't want to read the synopsis because I prefer not to. Sometimes I like going into a movie dark, and I think that is a great tactic for this particular movie. So I hadn't seen a trailer, or if I had, I must have seen it so long ago that I didn't remember it. And all I knew was the first two lines of the synopsis: criminal and soldier. And then I stopped reading. I thought, okay, that sounds like it could be my cup of tea. And the other thing I would suggest you need to know, which doesn't spoil anything about the movie because it all becomes apparent very early on, but it lets you know whether you'd like it, it's drugs. So this is a movie that involves drugs, or should I say drug dealing, and, you know, a bit of gangstery stuff. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, then I think you'll love this movie. And my strong tip would be know as little as possible about this movie, because having read the synopsis when I've come out of the movie, it tells you everything that happens in the movie. Obviously the detail is filled in by the movie, but the synopsis lets you know from from beginning to end a little bit too much for me, a little bit too much of what happens. So going into this movie not having a clue what was going to happen, it meant that every single turn and every twist, if you want to call it a twist, was completely unexpected, and therefore you're like, ooh, nice. I like the direction that this movie is going in, and it felt like it was constantly being quite edgy in that regard. And truthfully, I really enjoyed this movie. It's at least an 8 out of 10. How high I go, I don't know. Maybe it's in the region of 8.5. 8.4. We're going to say 8.4. This was a good movie. 8.4. And like I say, if you like the genre that I've generalised there, you know, drug dealing slash gangstery type stuff, then you're going to like this movie. It was quite a unique take. It didn't feel like, oh yeah, we've heard this story a million times before. And there's a bit of a clue in the title as well as to what the basis of the movie's about. Only when the movie started and I actually thought about the title, The Informer, did I actually put two and two together and think, oh right, yeah, I get what the gist of this movie is. And again, all these things become very, very apparent right from the first scene. So it's, I'm not breaking my own rules of giving anything away about the storyline, because you find that out literally in the first scene. But I just want to make sure that people know how good this movie is, and if it's going to be your cup of tea, it's definitely one worth going and seeing. So it's on for 2 hours. It feels, it feels like a chunky size movie in the sense that it needed to be a 2 hour movie. I wouldn't have minded it being a little bit longer. But it couldn't have been any shorter. There's a lot to the story. The character casting is fantastic. It goes off in a few directions. You don't know what's going to happen next. I don't want to say twisty and turny, because it's not hugely twisty and turny, but it's keeping you guessing, not knowing what's going to happen, what's going to come next, and it's just thoroughly enjoyable. If you enjoy that type of movie, then like I say, go to the cinema and see this. Definitely worth a watch. Probably a perfectly good date night movie. If you need to go and see this full price at the weekend, that's fine. Definitely see it on the cheap if you can during the week. But it's definitely worth going and seeing. So I'm going to keep this movie short because there's nothing more to say about it. The main character in it is absolutely fantastic. I think he's kind of like an up-and-coming action movie for me, action guy for me. I think he makes a really good main lead role in a movie. He's tough, he's cool, so it was a well cast movie. Yeah, I can't say enough about it really. Thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think it would be appealing to a wide range of people as well. It doesn't just have to be young, old, anybody could enjoy this movie. The subject matter was very compelling, and the kind of thing that anybody could understand as well. It's drug dealing. It's a serious problem across the world. So definitely covers a large scope of people who should be interested in this kind of thing. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Get yourself to the cinema to see this one. Really enjoyable. Definitely worth seeing on the big screen. With the loud music and the good sound and everything like that. But equally, you know, you can catch this one at home too, so don't feel too guilty if you can't get to the cinema for this one. But if you can, it's definitely worth checking out. So I'm going to leave the review there. Hope you've enjoyed this review. Hope you found it useful. Definitely want to go and see it if you like this kind of movie. It's really good. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next review. Goodbye.
Allez, keep on,